What is your case worth? Honestly, that's the million-dollar question, because there are so many things that go into determining the value of a case. You need to know the answers and how to figure that out. So let's talk about it for a moment. I'm Chuck Richardson. I'm the managing partner at Richardson Boudreaux, and we primarily work in the area of personal injury. That covers a large area, everything from medical malpractice to any type of an accident, whether it involves a motorcycle, a semi, a car. We also do negligence at nursing homes, where you also have abuse. Those are the type of cases that we handle. One of the questions I get most often is, how much is my case worth? I remember a few years back, a gentleman came in, he was looking for a lawyer. And in the meeting, he said, the lawyer down the street said, he's gonna get me $100,000. I immediately clinched up, because I hate to hear lawyers making representations like that when, with the information this gentleman had, there was no way for anyone to know what the value of his case was. I half-heartedly said to him, you ought to go down and get that lawyer to put that in writing, that he's going to get you $100,000. The guy took it as serious and left. About 30 minutes later, the receptionist called me and said, Chuck, the gentleman that was here a little while ago is back. And I was like, oh, okay. And I go out to talk to him and learn that the lawyer wasn't guaranteeing him $100,000. I was honest with the gentleman. I don't know what your case is worth. We'll have to figure that out, and it's going to take some time and work. He did hire us, and actually his case was worth quite a bit more than $100,000. But I didn't want to make him a promise I couldn't keep, and I didn't want to tell him something I didn't believe. The value of your case is extremely difficult to determine, especially up at the front of your case. Now, once you start gathering information and facts and how the process works, you're able to start determining a range of value. There are many things that we look at when trying to figure that out, and I want to share some of those with you. First, you've got to look at, what are the medical bills associated with the accident? What's the injury? What type of injury is it? Is it a permanent injury, or an injury that after physical therapy, chiropractic care, or some other type of treatment, it's going to go away? Are there any lingering issues? Those are all the things that an insurance adjuster looks at to determine the value of the case. Now, one of the things Oklahoma did is they passed a law that said, if you're charged $10,000 in medical, you can't claim that if you go to trial or to try to settle your case. And what they said was, the only thing that can be considered is what's been leaned up by a doctor, a hospital, or what's been paid. And so you could have $10,000 in medical treatment, but the insurance paid $3,500, and one doctor decided to lean up $1,000. So now the adjuster is only going to consider $4,500. Lost wages. One of the most difficult things after an accident and the injuries that you have is your lost wages. That's how we make our monthly bills. And lost wages is extremely important. When it comes to lost wages, what they're going to look at is, where are you working? How long have you been there? How much do you make? How much time off work did you have? You obviously were off work after the accident, but many times doctors hold you away from work until they release you to go back. Many companies won't let you return to work until the doctor releases you. So they'll look at that and determine an amount. How do they do that? How many days did you miss? How much do you make on average per day? And now they have a number. In some instances, an injury means that you're going to have to change professions. So what happens then? Well, many times we'll hire an expert that'll go in and say, here's what you will be able to do. Here's what type of jobs are out there. Here's how much those jobs pay. And then based on what you would make in the future That's deducted from what you would have made at your old job, and now you've got a number. Now that number has other things that happen to it, such as putting it in present day value, but you get lost wages. You can get them from the time of the accident up to your release from the doctor, and in some instances, you can get it far into the future. Pain and suffering is one of the things that is probably the most difficult to put a dollar value on. That's why we have our clients keep a diary. And that diary is for them to write down the things that they're going through, the things that are happening, the doctors that they see, so that we can, in some instances, live that injury with them. Now, is there any way we can identify with exactly what they're having to deal with? No way. But usually we've dealt with something in our lives that allows us to better understand. But if a client doesn't keep that diary, it makes it really difficult. How's pain and suffering defined? Well, one, we all know what pain is, and we know what suffering is. So what we have to look at is what changes have been made in the person's life. Was it someone that rode their bike every day or played golf on the weekends, has little kids and can no longer pick them up, deals with pain every night when they go to bed and shortly after awakening? They're still on pain medications. They're still having to get physical therapy. There are many things to look at. And so what you do is you take all those things and you try to express how they interfere with the joy in life, the things we all live so we can enjoy. And then a dollar figure's got to be put on that. Insurance adjusters will consider all of that when they're evaluating your case. How much is an adjuster going to offer you? Well, there are tons of adjusters out there that all have different reasons for why they do what they do, how they go about doing it. But there's one thing that you can always know, and that is that adjuster wants to keep his job, he wants to maximize how much he can make, and he wants bonuses. And in looking at those issues, you know that all those things aren't going to work out to his favor unless he pays you less than you deserve. That's how he gets his good reviews, and that's how he makes more money. What does he consider when he's looking at your case? Well, we talked about the type of damages. Let's talk about a few other things. One is the jurisdiction. So adjusters will look at what's happened in trials in that jurisdiction to see what juries have done. Now, I don't think that it's a great way to look at a value of a case, but I know that's the way the adjuster's looking at it. Also, the adjuster's going to look at if you have an attorney or not. There's a study that was done a few years back, and what they found was individuals that hired lawyers got 3.5 times more money in their case resolution than if they handled it on their own. There's got to be many reasons for that, but one of them is how do you present your case to the adjuster? And second, what do you not provide the adjuster? And those are things there's no way for me to go through the laundry list of things that you don't provide. But if you keep in mind the things that I told you to provide, you should be pretty safe. When it comes to lawyers, an adjuster is going to look to see what type of law does that lawyer practice. I mean, is he a bankruptcy lawyer, a real estate lawyer, or is he a personal injury lawyer? Next, they're going to look to see how many cases that lawyer's had that have gone to trial. And then what were the results? They're even going to look to see, does that lawyer get in a case and always settle it? Are they willing to file the case? Are they willing to spend the money that it takes to hire the experts and go to trial? And will they actually go to trial? All those things an adjuster weighs to determine a value on a case. Another area of damages that we haven't talked about are future medical bills. And while adjusters don't really consider that when they're trying to resolve your case, if you can put together the information that the adjuster can use to support adding more money to your settlement, then you may get more money. The only way to do that is to find a doctor. We call them consultants or experts that will say that in the future, you're going to need other medical care. One of the big areas, and I've never heard a surgeon support this, is in a deposition or a trial, is that if you've had a fusion, you've got a joint that's been locked up. And so the joints on either side are now having to work a lot harder. And treating physicians, surgeons, they typically say, we can't really say within reasonable medical certainty that this person's going to need a surgery in the future. How do you get around that? Well, you can go and hire a consultant or an expert, and that's someone that has special knowledge and skill in a particular area. So again, a surgeon. And that surgeon will then give an opinion and put it in writing that tells what you will need in the future. And in many instances, they'll say that joint is overworked, and in 10 to 15 years, maybe 20 on the outside, you're going to have another surgery. And based on the cost of that surgery now, this is what I believe the cost will be in 15 to 20 years. Now, the adjuster is going to consider that. Is he going to say, okay, I'm going to pay that number? No. What he'll do is he'll do a present day value that says, if it's $20,000, how much money would you need today so that if it was invested conservatively, it would be worth $20,000 in 20 years? Is he going to offer you that number? Maybe, maybe not. It really depends on how good your consultant or expert is and how well they're able to explain it. We want to help you find that person in order to maximize the recovery that you deserve. We've talked about what increases the value of your case, and there's some things that obviously decrease the value of your case. As I said earlier, there are a lot of things and hard to go through most of them, but let's talk about a few specific ones. An insurance adjuster is going to ask you to sign a medical release. What they really want to find out is what's happened to you in the past. What is it about your injuries now that they can say happened years ago? We didn't cause this, or you already had this injury. That's the type of information they want. And many times you've got private information in your medical records that maybe your family members don't even know. And now they have that. So you want to be careful when you sign a release to the insurance company. What you can do is you can limit it to injuries to this area of your body, this time period, and provide something like that. The next thing is the adjuster is going to want to take a recorded statement. Now, that kind of sounds, that's fair. I'm going to ask for money, so I can give a recorded statement. I wish it was that easy. The insurance companies have worked for years to figure out what questions they should ask, how they should ask them, what things they should say to you to gain your trust, so that when they ask the question, they're getting the type of answer that they want. And the answers they want are the things that are going to help them drive down the value of your case. We don't allow our clients to give recorded statements. Many years ago, an adjuster that managed this area wanted to talk to me, and we talked over the phone, and a few days later I showed up at a deposition and she was there, and she said, can we go out in the hallway and talk? And I said, sure. So we go out there and she said, look, Chuck, all the lawyers in Tulsa have their clients give recorded statements. We can get your cases settled quicker. Why won't you do that? And I said, because it's not fair. It's a setting where I don't get to assist my clients. I don't get to prepare them. I don't get to change the questions you may ask or how you ask them. It's just not a fair situation. She went on for a little bit. I finally said, I'll make you a deal. I'll let you take a recorded statement of our clients after the accident, and immediately following that, I get to take a recorded statement from your insured, the driver of the other vehicle. I mean, didn't you say that was fair? And she started to laugh and say, I'm not that crazy. Well, she wants what's good for her and her company, but she knows I know how to ask the right questions, and I know how to get the information that's best going to help our case. So they want to get information from you, and some of it's valuable for them to look at your case and determine everything, but quite honestly, what they're trying to do is devalue your case. Many cases, they know how the accident happened. There's an accident report. They are already talking to you because they know that their insured is the one that caused the accident. So what is it they really want to gain? They want to gain an advantage, and only you can give them that advantage. I know as a lawyer, there are many cases that clients can handle on their own, and they should. But the only way they're going to know whether their case is one of those cases is to talk to a lawyer, and a lawyer that will tell them, hey, you can handle this on your own. You know, there are several things we want to accomplish when someone comes into our office, and that is tell them what their rights are, share with them how to go after protecting their rights, how to maximize their case, and then we want to tell them whether we're the right law firm for them. I mean, many times we aren't. And so we can share with them how it is we think we can help them. And there's no obligation. They don't pay us anything for that. It's our opportunity to educate someone so they can make the best choice for them. So if you want to know what's in the best interest of your case, for you, your family, make an appointment, come in, and sit down and talk with us. It doesn't cost anything, and you will know what are my options, and then you and your family can weigh what's best for you all.